Hey guys, it's Danielle and I am back with another process video. I'm going to be scrapbooking this super cute picture of my daughter. I sized it down to 4x4 and it's just one that I took of her playing in the river the last time we were camping. Now I'm going to be working with my Felicity Next Stop kit. The alphabet stickers, the bigger ones came in that kit, but the smaller ones are from my stash. And then my plan is to just work with a bunch of scraps that I've sort of collected as I've been working with the kit this month. Now, my initial plan was to use all of these scraps to put a bunch of layers behind my photo, which is a technique that I really don't do very often because I don't think I'm very good at it. When I see other people do a bunch of layering on their layouts, I think it looks great. But whenever I attempt it, it just sort of feels off to me. Like it doesn't have that effortless look about it. It looks super forced and just a little bit off. And quite honestly, it looks like my 4-year-old daughter did it. It just doesn't look very great, but I do attempt it from time to time because I like it. I like the way it looks, and I've said it a million times. I know I kind of feel like a broken record, but I absolutely love Felicity Jane papers. I just think the patterns are great, the colors are great, and they're just perfect every time. And so I find myself wanting to put all of the papers on one layout every time. So this is a great technique to do that. And like I said, overall, I do like the way it looks, but I just struggle with it a little bit. So one of the things that I will always do is mat my photo with some white paper. I have found that when I have all of these patterns and colors behind my photo, if I don't mat it in white, it feels like it's not put together. Like that white mat just pulls everything together to me. So I started out with that very first, and then I just started playing with the papers. And at one point I decided I need to start taping these things together because I get really frustrated if it doesn't stay in place. So I just decided to attempt to just tape a piece of paper down and move on to the next one, and it worked out pretty good. I did try to be sort of intentional with my layers. For instance, I have this red and white stripe that I am putting on the left-hand side of my photo, and so I'm going to take that multicolored stripe and put it on the right-hand side of my photo just to sort of make sure that the patterns are balanced and the color is balanced. There's that pop of red on each side, and so that was sort of my approach going into this layering technique, I guess. I was excited that I got to use this pink piece of paper because you can see it has that scalloped rectangle cut out of it. And this is normally a piece of paper that I would just throw away because that scallop would get stuck on everything in the box and it would drive me crazy, so I just throw it away. So I thought this was a great time to use it. And pink is one of my favorite colors to use. I think it just goes with everything, especially like a softer, more pastel-y pink. I just think it's super pretty, and I love that just a little hint of it is sort of poking out behind all of these layers. It's probably my favorite part. But once I get the papers down how I like them and stuck into place, I pull out some polka dot vellum from my stash. I definitely like the extra sort of, I don't know, it brings a different texture to this cluster of papers, and I like that. And so I just stick a little strip on each side of my photo, and I think that looks good. And then I sort of call this part of the layout done. I'm not going to mess with that anymore. And now I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of this layout. So I pull out my little bowl of embellishments and the cut apart elements from the kit, and I just sort of start playing around. Now, I don't plan on journaling on this particular layout. I am usually more focused on the story. Like I like to document the story first. And that doesn't mean that it has to be like a ton of words on the layout, but I usually approach any given layout with I want to tell the story, not that I want to document the photo. And so these layouts that are purely just I'm playing with paper and I'm documenting a cute picture don't happen very often, but I do like them and they are fun to do. But the main reason that I wasn't as concerned with documenting a story on my layout was because I have told the story of my daughter's love for water a lot. My daughter has been a fan of water for her whole life. And so I have a lot of layouts that document fun stories that have kind of happened along the way. And a lot of those stories happened in this river that she's standing in right here. This is a place that we go camping a lot in the summer. So my daughter has been to this river a lot, and I've documented some really fun stories about just different things that have happened. The one that comes to mind the very most is the year that we went camping and she could crawl, and she was crawling through the river and she loved it. And I got the cutest picture. So I definitely told a story on that layout. But I think just having this layout in her album is going to complement all of those other pages and layouts that tell a story about the water. This is just another part of that whole story. So, and I love the way it turned out, and I think it's super cute. So I'm glad that I did it. Now, as you just watched, I went through all of my little embellishments that came with my kit, and I picked out a few that I thought looked good on this layout. I love that little strip of black hearts there that I put to the left of my photo. I pulled out that pineapple, and as you can see, I popped it up just a little bit. I mostly just really like the way the pineapple looked on the layout, but my daughter does love pineapple, so it's not completely random. And then I start working on my title. So I knew I wanted to spell out river in those big black alphabets that came in the kit, because that's sort of what this whole layout is about. But then I pulled out these other smaller Felicity Jane alphabet stickers that you can purchase in her shop, and I finished the rest of my title, which I went back and forth with what I wanted it to say, but it ends up saying Fun at the River, which I was going to actually just leave it totally like that. But I remembered that on the cut apart sheet that there was a little strip that said summer, and I thought, oh, that would be perfect for this layout. So I got that into the mix, and that color matches the pineapple, so it was totally meant to be. So I cut that into a little banner, and I get that stuck down on my page there at the top, and I like just a little extra color that it brings to the top of the layout. And then I decide to commit to that turquoise heart flare, and I get it stuck down right there to the left of my photo. I use some of this red line tape that I have. It's pretty strong and it seems to work good. And then I was looking at my layout, and I was just thinking that it felt really white to me, which I love, don't get me wrong, but it just felt super white. And so I thought maybe I would put a border of color around the layout, and I really liked the light blue that I tried that first option. And then I remembered that one of the pattern papers was the same color, but it had these messy lines through it, and I really loved the way that looked. And so I trimmed both of those papers down. You can see that I gutted my pattern paper there. I definitely don't want to waste any paper with these kits, and so I cut that little square out to use on another layout. And then after that, the only thing I really have to get on this layout is the date. And so I just used my date stamp, and I picked out a color, an ink color that was a lightish blue, just to match this layout. I didn't want to draw too much attention to the date, but I definitely wanted it on there. So I get that stamped into place, and then I thought I would take the whole thing over to my sewing machine, and my original idea was I wanted to stitch around that border. But this layout is not perfectly centered. It's a little bit more to the left, and I thought if I stitched around the whole layout, it would draw even more attention to that, is what I was thinking. Maybe it wouldn't, I don't know. So, but I ended up just stitching through the smaller black letters of my title just to give it some more interest is all. And then I call this done. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to put a link to the Felicity Jane blog. Definitely head on over there and see all of the other fun projects that the other team members are doing. All right, we'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.